been reading this, but it's really, really, really about to go down. So it's about to be mad spoilers. So if you don't want to watch this, and you don't want to know what's happening in Omega when we get to the chapter 50, then you better turn right now, because you're gonna be mad as hell. Don't watch it. Don't listen. Don't even look. Don't even look at my post. It's too late. Y'all probably got stuff spoiled, but people don't read manga. But y'all better start reading. It's about to go down. Hey man, stuff's about to go down there. That's all I gotta say. We got so much covered. Go ahead.
Yeah, so where did we leave off last week?
Oh, let me get the rest of it.
Oh.
With Tim Barrie and Everett Jenkins is here. My boys is here. Like, share, subscribe to the page. Y'all know I'm a small time guy. I'm trying to make it happen, trying to make it fake it till I make it. Like, share, subscribe, comment to the page, and all that good stuff. Just an anime podcast on YouTube and my page on Facebook. But yeah, hope y'all enjoy this. Thanks for the support who have been supporting, and let's get down to the meat and potatoes. Let's get it. Tim, lead us off here, brother.
All right. So last time we left off, I believe we left off when Nitoku was fighting Yuzaki Moman.
Mm-hmm.
And Idemitsu Toyota shows up with Falcon.
Yes.
And so we went over how Nitoku pretty much, he puts Yuzaki away.
Yeah, he
pretty quick.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard for him.
And it was shortly thereafter that they find Yuzaki's body just in an alleyway with a big hole in his chest.
Caved in.
Mm-hmm. And so we'll take it from there. And
yeah.
I've read so much since then. Everett, what's our next, couple panels there?
So after Yuzaki's body is discovered, I do think after that they start looking into his death, and then Kazuo gets a call from Idemitsu just to talk to him about the situation, and they kind of just established a no hard feelings situation immediately. And then Idemitsu's like, oh, see, he has a good eye for people. And then Idemitsu drops a huge bombshell. He was like, by the way, Yuzaki's snake fist style was the 7-star fist. What that person used was a different snake style fist. And then it was like, oh, and then Kazuo was like, we made a mistake. And then
was this where Idemitsu was talking? He's like, about how they do composite sketches?
Yeah.
As long as you get the eyes right, everything else is not as important as long as the eyes are right.
Yeah.
And he's like, you see, and then he goes into the fact that Yuzaki, the real Yuzaki, used 7 stars snake fist, and this guy was using Kunlun snake.
Yeah.
And he's like, you going with this, don't you? And Kazuo then has that epiphany, something terrible has happened.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I like how they're going to the NCIS discovery thing, because now they're trying to figure out who murdered him. So apparently, pretty much we're getting to a fact where this was not the real guy.
Yeah.
It's somebody was him, but we're trying to figure out who killed him. Now
go ahead.
Okay.
And then after that, it's revealed what Idemitsu had Falcon do, which is to do research on Yuzaki and just try to see, I'm trying to remember, because you just did research into Yuzaki, and then it was revealed that he had died previously, and then that was a fake that was fighting Nitoku.
Yeah. And so as far as the murder goes, who else would be on the case but Japanese Batman, Seishu?
Hey, when he's not killing people and throwing people off roofs and shit, he is an awesome cop.
Yeah,
because
he's a legit detective.
He is he is on it. But then, so we find out something else with Mr. We saw what was coming from the crime scene. It wouldn't be. It would be coincidental that people who just love killing people just be killing people. We find out that Ryuki was at the scene.
Yes, and he was, and Akuya spotted him through
the security cam.
Yeah, traffic cam footage, like leaving the alley shortly after Yuzaki's estimated time of death.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, all of that's going on. Ryuki and Koga have kind of they formed this real uneasy friendship.
Yeah.
And this is like one of the scenes where Koga takes Ryuki shopping and finds that Ryuki has no sense of style or fashion or anything.
He got that girl shirt.
Yeah, he's wearing it's not Hello Kitty, but it's Hello Kitty.
Man, it was Hello Kitty, man.
And so there's so much that goes on with that where you just start learning that normal society is completely foreign to Ryuki Gao.
Oh yeah, he don't know nothing from nothing. Like I said, he's learning. He's not an assassin, but he's learned pretty much fighting, and that's all he knows.
Yeah, his whole life has just been death matches at this point.
Pretty much, so he doesn't know what's. Like I said, he's a caveman. He's pretty much been a caveman in a sense.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
He's been really a caveman.
And then just to kind of distinguish him from the person he looks the most like, he decided to get a pair of glasses. They're not even prescription glasses, just fashion, and Koga picks them out for him. So now, so he can basically stop getting compared to Oma Tokita. Man, now he's wearing a pair of glasses.
He gonna look like Oma no matter what, with or without them glasses.
Yeah. And so this whole shopping trip with them is 2 chapters.
Yeah,
it's 2 full chapters.
Them bonding and whatnot. I feel like the friendship, and then Ryuki says something. He says something that you're a real good friend or something like that. And I had a good time, and Koga just gives him that look, oh. He figured he wouldn't say something like that, but
yeah. And meanwhile, Kazuo is just he's scouting more talent for the Purgatory Kengan tournament, and we see 2 fighters we haven't seen in a while.
Man,
and that's Takichiba,
the copycat,
and Kiyozan. Yeah.
So pretty much Kyuan lays out Takayuki Shiba. And I don't know what fighting style he used, but it didn't matter at that point. He just got thrown.
Yeah.
He got thrown.
This is something we were all hoping to get to last week, and we did.
Yes!
After the match ends,
yes!
Kazuo's phone starts ringing.
Yes!
And all you see is a panel, a long desert highway, and he's like, you found him?
Yo! Yes!
Yeah.
We get to the chapter. So I want to take this one off.
Yeah, no, it's all you.
Yo, so we finally get to the one of the better fighters that he added on the list. So Hiruma,
Icy Emperor.
Yes, gets to this bar, and he's already sitting there, and the person he's looking for comes in, and the dude he says, "AG, somebody's looking for you," and then he said, "That's better than the Fang." We get Kano Agito.
Who's now gone full Sons of Anarchy. He's
a
motorcycle gang.
And he's just chilling. He's like, "Where you at?" "I'm at the motel." And pretty much, he already knows why. He asks, he's like, "Do you remember me?" He's like, "I don't know who you are." He's like, "I hear Rio, I remember you." And he's like, "So I know why you're here, the Purgatory match." And he said, "Yeah, pretty much, I don't need to fight." And
yeah, he says my debt to Katahara is
the he still calls the master.
The master.
He still calls him the master, no matter probably what form shape he's in. He still calls him the master. But then Hiromo talks about, we get to hear about the other Fangs that he had successors after him. So we hear one of them. He was the 5th Fang, right?
Yeah.
Because we'll get to the 6th Fang, and then he was like, "There's another Fang. We don't know who the 7th was."
Yeah.
And then we hear about the 8th Fang, which we know who he is right now. But so the Fang after him, he was like, "Yeah, there's been successors, but one of them turned traitor." And that caught Kano's interest so quick he was just like, wait, what? Somebody's using he said pretty much using the thing's name for profit.
For publicity.
For publicity. And Kano was not feeling that. And you can see the aura around him as he's saying that. And all you see is the panel with his face. It's a face showing.
Yeah, I'm looking for
it. The face was funny as shit.
I mean, it really is reminiscent of his
formless face.
Formless. I'll put it on the screen here.
And all you hear is him. This scoundrel will get what he deserves.
Yeah.
So pretty much, and all we get is the back. We get the phone call. Kano's in.
Yeah.
Well, there was something that you left out. The 8th Fang has also been entered as a fighter for the Kengan side.
Yeah.
For the tournament.
Yeah. So we got 2 Fangs.
Yeah, there are 2 Fang. Well, an X-Fang and the current Fang are now signed up to compete in the Kengan Association's side against Purgatory.
So we got some hitters.
This is another thing that's interesting too. Is you mentioned like that he's like, I'm sorry, I don't remember you, and Rio's like, really? And he's like, nah, my memory's as good as it ever was. I remember you, and like we see that Kano is not the same Kano that he was entirely. He's not as serious.
Yeah, he had a sense of humor, which was dope.
There's something that's noticeably different about it,
which was a good thing.
But that chapter actually ends with a bit of a reveal. But if you've really been paying attention, it's pretty obvious what's been going on. Right after he gets off that phone call, Kazuo says, like, man, it would be so great if Oma was here. And then we see, basically, for all intents and purposes, there's more to it than this, but for intents and purposes, we basically see Ryuki Gao standing over the body of someone he literally just killed. And he's like, oh, I broke my glasses. Koga picked these out for me.
And he was so nonchalant though about the whole thing. Like,
there's something that we forgot to mention.
What's that?
We forgot to mention that when Kazuo was off on his own, like, he actually recruited Okubo as a fighter too.
Oh yeah,
and,
I think we mentioned it last week, but yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, to be honest with you, I like Okubo, but I wish they would have got somebody else.
Okubo wouldn't have been my choice.
Okubo would have been my choice, but I mean, at this point, they need fighters. They don't have the luxury of just choosing 50 fighters like Itamitsu has. Yeah. And then, all right, cool, we got my fighters. They can't be picky. So I understand what they were saying. But damn, ain't had nobody else. Jesus Christ.
So, with that chapter ending, we start seeing basically that Akuyo has been pretty much right, because during his investigation, he was basically saying, like, this guy's, it's got to be him. Like, who else could this possibly be?
Yeah.
And he's like, now I have to figure out why. But in this next chapter, we start off. This is the day of Koga's final exam with
no.
The Kengan.
Oh no.
We're not there
yet. We're not there yet. Yeah.
Oh God.
So a little bit before that, where we originally left off was they were going to check out a purgatory match, and so Kazuo, Koga, and Ryuki go to purgatory, and they watch a match between 2 C-listers, and then you find out a little bit more about purgatory and their rules. It's really just like UFC in a way.
Pretty much.
And like their rules, they have rules that are completely different from Kengan's, where they have a ring out rule. If you get ringed out, you lose. If you are down for 10 seconds, 10 seconds or more, you lose. And if you kill your opponent, you lose.
Yes. And as I was going back for a review here, I've got the manga pulled up. I was incorrect. Yeah, the chapter is titled Final Exam, but
yeah,
it actually is his final exam with SJPW, where he he goes up and Jose one more time, and actually does hold his own pretty well, and then he he officially graduates.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And that's when Jose is like, "You want to come watch a purgatory match?"
Yes, that's it. Excuse me.
So
then the purgatory match. Yeah, and they're there and they're watching it with Jose, and then somebody walks up and it's like, huh. It's like, I wonder who that is. Huh, I remember you. And he's like, oh, you're Mr. Yamashita. It's like, you watched one of my matches before. And then you see his face and he just looks like a gorilla. And his name is Yumigahara. Yumigahama Hikaru, and he's the sixth Fang. He's the X6 Fang.
And then, too, we get other two combatants for the Purgatory competition. We get the Grim Reaper of Paris, Nicholas Lee Banner, and the centipede of the Demon Fist, Liu Tan, along with Monkey Man. Call him Monkey Man. Yumi.
The X-Fang?
I'm calling him Monkey Man.
Yeah.
Monkey Man from now on. Monkey Man.
And they're just talking, and he's just Hikaru's just establishing himself as such an asshole. He's just like, there's no hard feelings. Purgatory just offered me more money. I'd be stupid to not take it.
Because Oswald gave him that.
And then Jose is like, all right, bro, you better relax. And Hikaru's like, did you forget that you've lost to me already? And Jose is like, oh, wrestling's 2 out of 3. We can go right now if you want.
Yo.
And then Nicholas is just like, can y'all hurry up, please? Like, I'm hungry.
And Luther goes, he said, didn't you lose to Jose? He said, oh, really? It was so far back, I forgot.
Yeah, he's like, it was so long ago, I forgot. And they're like, all right, and then tensions were rising, and Koga walks past. No, Hikaru walks past Koga and hits him in the liver just like nonchalantly, and it does so much damage to Koga. He just like collapses on the ground in pain.
Yeah,
he doubles over because at first Koga was trying to calm down Jose. He said, Haru don't even talk to me this way. He said, I'm not gonna be fighting if it don't get paid. And then the hit wasn't even hard. It's like you're just pushing somebody out the way.
Yeah,
but compared to him. To that, it felt like a punch.
Yeah, and then the face Ryuki makes a face like he's about to kill Hikaru, and then Idemitsu shows up and is like, "Hey, Hikaru, you gotta relax, dude. Why are you embarrassing me in front of these guests?"
Yes.
And he's just like, "Oh, you know I would never do that to you."
You must.
And then they all apologize and they're walking off, and then Nicholas looks back and he's like, huh, it looked like he was just about to kill Hikaru. He's like, huh. It's like they got it real good over there. I'd really rather fight in the Kengan matches and kill people rather than just this sport.
Yeah.
And the Grim Reaper thing pops up behind him. Oh, so another thing too. This is gonna be something later. Idemitsu lets Jose get a match with Hikaru. That's gonna be happening because Jose won the fight. So that's gonna play a part later.
So after all of that, I was actually a little mistaken. I had it out of order. After his
SPJ graduation.
Yes.
Yeah.
After that, he then goes to with another. I think he's with Koreshi. Cosmos.
Oh, we forgot all about Uncle Joji. That's right.
He goes. Yeah. He takes Koreshi takes.
Oh damn!
Because like he goes into the Koreshi's dojo to like be like, oh, Koreshi, like I passed my test, and like Koreshi's just like kind of serious. He's like, it's really a small world when you think about it. It's like when I heard your family name, I was like, huh, that's familiar. And then he's like, why don't you come with me somewhere? And then they're outside of a building, and you see Koga's like visibly sweating and panicking. He's like, I can't go in there. I'll be killed.
Yeah. And that's when we're introduced.
The uncle's funny
to Uncle Yoji or Joji.
And then another thing I forgot. This is the same. This is full contact karate. This is the same
That's
guy
a
who
Roku
taught
Shinkan.
Wakitsuki.
Yes.
Yes.
I forgot all about
Same
that. Yeah.
guy taught Wakitsuki. So because I forgot Koga get banned everywhere, but he banned Wakitsuki for fighting in the Kengan matches.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And but I think he agrees to take on Koga because he's like,
Your family,
basically.
Yeah.
And so his Koga ups his training again. So now he's doing Koreshi's dojo, and he's doing
SPJ.
No.
Not SPJ, but
Roku Shinkan.
yeah.
Yeah, the full contact karate. And he goes in there and he sees his uncle, and I really love Joji because he's so insane. You see that one of his eyes is damaged because Joji and Kureishi are from the writer's previous series called Fist of the Seeker. And Fist of the Seeker is kind of like a prelude to Kengan ASHURA as a whole.
For real?
So yeah,
Fist of the
and
Seeker?
and so they both appear, and they're like Sekibashi's master. His is from Fist of the Seeker.
Okay.
So there are a few characters from that series, which is really cool.
I actually didn't know that.
I didn't read that.
Yeah.
And so Joji's like, Koga, did you destroy a hospital room? Recently? He's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. He was like, I found out because the director of the hospital also does karate for Roku Shinkan. And then Koga's just like, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Uncle, let you down. And he was like, but as he's doing it, he's changing into his gi. And he's like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm putting my outfit on. For what?
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna spar.
He put it also. He said, Uncle, but it's funny because he was like, Uncle, I might hurt you. And he was like, oh, you don't have to worry about me.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm probably stronger than you, so I don't think I'll be hurt.
And he does too. I mean, he just man.
He was just throwing Koga like a
no, he hits Koga once, and Koga can't even get back up.
Excuse me, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he hits Koga once, and then he's like, get up, Koga. I'm gonna beat you until you can't move. And then he's like, but I already can't move.
Yeah.
He said already.
Yeah. So then is when they go to see the purgatory matches and everything we talked about.
Yeah.
Then the next chapter after the purgatory match was
Koga gets his finishing move.
Yeah, we're 2 days away from his employment exam, and so he's kind of like just ruminating on what the summer is, like campgrounds and barbecues and all this stuff.
The fun stuff.
But then we cut to something else, and it's a man walking down the street, and he walks down this alley, and there's Ryuki Gao waiting for him.
Chilling.
Yeah. And he's just like, Grandpa was right. He said you'd make contact with me if I entered the Kengan match.
And I was kind of clueless on that. And the dude was just like,
oh, we forgot something.
What?
There's still more about the Roku Shinkan where he's training with all of the other students and with Joji. And then Joji's like, we need to help you develop a finishing move. And so they're just going through all different things, and Joji keeps trying to get him to use biting as
He said, what's in your teeth? He was like,
and then because he was like, Koga's like, when I imagine a finishing move, I always imagine my a punch or something. But then Joji's like, that's probably not for the best because have you been keeping up with your hand training, your conditioning? He's like, no, he's like, you'll break your fists and your fingers if that's the case.
Yeah.
And then they start focusing on kicks. And then all the stuff with Hikaru happens, and then that helps him develop his finishing move that we don't know yet.
Yes.
But then it goes back to Ryuki in the alleyway with the worm.
Yeah, and he's and the dude's like, I really thought I was tailing you perfectly. I didn't think you'd know this. And
Ryuki gets like pretty much get dead ass serious and says, then the dude gets on the phone and says, I'm gonna secure the target. And he says, no, you're gonna die. And I said, whoa.
And at that point, it cuts to Akuya, who is still
Batman, full on Batman mode.
He's still conducting his investigation, and he notices that all of the victims have a very similar tattoo, or the same tattoo, excuse me.
And affiliates. They're basically somebody's getting, and he's basically somebody's getting like not cloned but impersonating Kengan affiliates, because all people that died are Kengan affiliates.
So Okoya determines this in his investigation too. Is like they all have stuff in common. One was the tattoo, and then two was that they all had signs of like plastic surgery.
Yes. And
this is some old Illuminati type ish going on here.
Yeah, there's some wild stuff going on. And then we meet another person who actually we might have seen him.
Oh yeah, he's talking about long haired bastard.
So you see him in the last chapter of ASHURA.
Oh, excuse me, you're right.
Him with Everett.
Yeah. So after there's a lot of skipping around in this chapter, but Akuya, he kind of is, going on, and he's putting these pieces together, and then we see G is Gia.
Shaji.
Yeah.
And he's on the phone with someone, and he basically is saying like this is all for the connector, and the connector is in quotation, so we don't know what that is just yet.
And then we get to this part,
and
Koga finds
Koga was planning to hang out with Ryuki, and he finds him in the alley, like fists coated in blood. And Ryuki just turns around and is like, "Oh, there you are. You ready to go?" Like nothing. He literally just caught him like brushing his teeth or like something random.
And the dude's body's mangled. Dude's face is all like just smeared across it, and Ryuki's face was just like so normal. And then so they go and leave, and they go out to eat, and Koga's just like, I can't believe this man just did this. And he's questioning like, you know what you just did? And he's like, yeah. Like Ryuki has no qualms about killing people, and it's like so second nature to him that he's just like, oh, he says, "Will you self-defense, right?" He said, "Yeah, I was telling him." He was telling me, and I could have lost him, but then I just said I wanted to kill him instead. Yeah. And he just was trying to like give him like let him show face like, yo, he didn't kill him just to be killing him, right?
Yeah, Koga really was trying to let out the line like, you didn't mean to kill him, right? It was an accident, right?
And he just said up,
but his face, I did it on purpose.
And then he's like, Koga's like, you killed another human being. He's like, Ryuki's like, oh, you're a little confused. It's like, that wasn't a person, that was just a bug. Like, like that's all that was. Like, because and you see the way that he was brought up, like killing is so like second nature and like so detached, like the way that it was taught to him,
like life,
that like he separates people from these other kinds of people.
Yes.
Was Gao Makaku really like that? I can't imagine him being really like just like teaching his grandson to kill and just be like, you can kill people, just they're bugs. You got different. Yeah, I can't believe he has that. Just that moral compass just does not apply to him. Like he just didn't have no qualms, and Koga just said he called him a psycho and left.
Yeah, he was like, we're done.
But then we get to,
and then we cut to Yamashita's office,
and Kaede
is talking, and she's like, why are these companies? They have a pretty good relationship. Why are they doing this?
Oh, we forgot a major part of this chapter.
Yeah.
So Edward Wu walks up to the person that Ryuki just killed, and he's on the phone with Jaji, and he's like, your student's dead, and Ryuki got away. And he's like, literally everybody you have sent after Ryuki up to this point has been killed.
Yes, you're
and
right.
Then and Jaji is just like, oh, it's no big problem, dude. Like, things will just work themselves out. Yeah. And he's like, all right, I'm getting back to my movie now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just.
And for people who are watching the stream, the reason we forget stuff is because we read so much,
and
there's
that's
so
my
much
fault.
in it.
Yeah.
That's my fault. It was just so much little stuff in here and
And even-
details.
And even with taking notes, I mean, you do lose your place.
Like I took so
Yeah.
many notes, y'all, and it's ridiculous. And I still was forgetting stuff.
But
It's just so much. But
Yeah.
this
So Eddie hangs up the phone and he's like, can we really work with this dude? And then a cloaked figure is like, it should be fine. And he's like, and then the cloaked figure asks Eddie what he thinks about Ryuki. And he's like, what do you mean by that? Do I think he's a faker or that he's a tiger's vessel? And then the hooded figure is like, it doesn't matter if he's a tiger vessel, I'll kill him because the Nico style is mine and mine alone.
yo,
And you see question mark, representative for purgatory.
yeah.
oh, and another thing too. Now, so pretty much there's a match. Ryuki has a match with Batman. He's trying to. Go
What
ahead.
we've actually figured out now is that Seishu Akuya has now purposely set up a match with Ryuki Gao specifically to quote unquote pass justice upon him.
And draw him. They want to draw him out to see if Ryuki really is like the way he say he is. And Kazuo kind of have this feeling like. So he's like, what is Seishu Akuya planning? So.
Yep. And then after all of that huge chapter happens, it's now the day of Koga's Kengan Association match.
Yes, and two men show up, and these two men are actually a little more important than I thought they were going to be.
Yes.
Yes.
Man.
Toru Kashio, who is a younger man, and then you have Yutaka Sugiwara. They are from the Kengan Association, basically employment division, basically, or like they're like talent scouts almost for and so they proceed to explain how
the exam is gonna go.
Yeah, how the exam's gonna go. Excuse me, and Koga's warming up. He's got he's got Uncle Joji with him. And
he looks like a totally different person from chapter 1.
Yeah.
Till now.
And he's actually sparring with Adam to start. And that's when his opponent walks in.
He's so goofy looking with the hair.
He looks like Blake Griffin, the basketball player.
Yes, he's huge.
Yeah. His name is
Shuya
Moyasame.
Yeah.
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 And his name is the Demon Orca, is his moniker.
So pretty much he's a whale.
Yeah.
He's a whale.
And so he actually Koga is looking at him and sizing him up, and he's seeing
Yumi.
He's seeing Yumi, the X-Fang from Purgatory, and he's like, "Oh, he'll be a perfect stand-in for that asshole."
Yeah.
And so the exam begins, and we're really seeing how far Koga's come.
Oh yeah, he's come mad far.
Mm-hmm.
He's come.
And I mean, it is a pretty impressive fight. I mean, for Koga up to this point, from what we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, his dodges are on point. His strikes are more powerful.
Movement is more precise.
More precise.
Not wasted.
Yeah. I mean, Morasame gets some pretty good hits in on Koga, but it's not.
Yeah, so Koga does not come out of this fight unscathed.
No.
And like I do enjoy that from a story level because that just shows you how high level the Kengan matches are.
Oh yeah.
Because like literally from the beginning it's established that Koga is far out of his league.
Yes. Yeah.
And so when they're fighting, when Koga and Murasame are fighting, like they eventually get to a point where they trade hits, where Koga blocks his hit, and then you see like he does a kick to Murasame at the same time, and Murasame goes down after the trade, and he's
Yes.
like, "Whew." And it's like, it looks like my finishing move is taking shape after all, and it's a crescent moon kick to the liver.
Yeah.
Yo, it looked like it hurt.
And yeah, I mean, so actually, after the crescent moon kick, he basically is. I mean, he pulls it off a time or two more, where he's basically saying like, "I can do this again and again as many times as it takes."
And that's a big dude to take down.
Yeah.
And at that point, they stop the fight.
Oh, we forgot something funny. This is a funny part. When the dude walks in and he says, "Who's my opponent?" It better not be them old timers. And Kureishi was like, "Is he making fun of us?" And Kevin, Uncle Joji was like, "We can beat him up." Everybody, secrecy, swore to keep secrecy and not say nothing.
Yeah, they're like, we could beat him up and get everybody to not say anything.
And Cosmo was like, "We can't do that. That will be a problem." Yo.
And so after they stop the match, and they basically say, "Congratulations, you're a fighter for the Kengan Association now."
Y'all about to catch me eating on stream. I'm sorry, I'm hungry.
Okay. Koga actually does kind of have an epiphany here.
Yeah.
He asks, he's like, "If you don't mind me asking, what is his record?"
Man.
And you find out that Murasame's record was 1 win, 3 losses.
He's the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. And so basically what Koga is realizing is that all he did was basically become the first rung on the ladder.
Yeah.
I mean, the top of the ladder is, let's say,
Kuroki.
The bottom of the barrel is where Koga is right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he realizes that he has such a big hill to climb.
Did you see the fight?
And then, like, what I like too is like immediately, because this is what he would never do at the beginning of the series, is like he's like, I'm not even gonna let this get to my head. It's like I know for a fact I'm not even on like Adam Dudley's level or Cosmo's level.
Or
I'm
Hero.
literally just at the starting line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Whereas like if it was at the beginning of the series, he'd be destroying everything, like getting super bent out of shape about it. He's just like, but now he's like, okay, I'm gonna take it in stride.
You know who he reminds? Oma. This is Oma. This is Oma before. This is Oma before the sleep, the coma, and waking up, realizing that his teachings.
Before his reverse character.
Yeah, before his reverse character kicks in on the second round, and then on the third round, it's like, yo, this is Oma, because his approach and his mentality is a lot more different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they actually have the same mentality because they're both seeker types, which is why when Koga was talking to Kazuo at the beginning of the series, he was like, I just can't stand the thought that there's somebody out there stronger than me.
Yes.
And like that made Kazuo think of Oma. So like they're really similar in that regard. Definitely not strength though.
No.
Hell no, not strength.
They're a lot more similar than we thought they were.
Yeah.
So chapter Cosmo and I believe saying, if we go now, we can still make Ryuki's match. And he's like, Ryuki has a match today? And he does, I think he actually says, no, I'm good, I'm not going. And Cosmo is like, wait, did you guys get in a fight? Like, what's going on? Because his opponent is bad news.
Yeah.
This is where we find out that actually Akuya is coming off a suspension.
Again.
Yeah.
Again. Because he nearly killed someone. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the someone he nearly killed was Gozo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gozo Murabuchi, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He nearly killed him, and they handed him an indefinite suspension.
Yes, yes. So with that, Koga pretty much kind of acquiesces and is like, okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
And they get to the arena, and we see Akuya preparing, and his partner Hiyama, basically his controller.
His controller ain't controlling him no more.
Yeah, and she basically tells him like it's time to go. We got to go. And so they go out to the ring, and
Kazuo and Katsuhara are talking about Ryuki.
Yeah,
basically telling Katsuhara. Basically Kazuo was like, "You didn't tell me about Ryuki." He's like, "Yeah, I thought it was more interesting. You found out your own pretty much." And he said, "What do you think about him?" He's like, "Oh no, homie."
Yeah, and they talk about how like he's not a good person or a bad person. He's just kind of a slate, just reacting to what's around him.
Yep. It was like his upbringing will be dependent on the kinds of people around him, and then you see Ryuki and Akuya like next to each other, talking to each other, and then like I really like the way it's drawn. It's like you see a lot of like skeletons around Ryuki, and Akuya is like, I can see all the lives you've claimed, and Ryuki's like, speak for yourself, like you've murdered quite a people yourself.
And then Akuya goes into Batman mode. Yeah. He said, "I guess we both need to have justice possible passed upon both."
Yeah. His exact words are, "You and I must both be condemned one day."
So Akuya, he's foreshadowing he's gonna die in Omega, y'all.
Yeah, and so he's walking out, and Hiyama's there, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I'm fighting with the intent to kill."
Yes, and so this match gets started, and I mean, Ryuki goes in. I mean, he goes in fast and hard,
as always,
using Gao style techniques. But Akuya is using the shield arm, and as we saw in Kengan ASHURA, his defenses are some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And his reflexes are also some of the best in the world, even without Hiyama helping him along.
Yeah, and now he's even stronger than when they were working together.
Yeah,
because go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then the fight continues a little bit more, and then Ryuki goes for the Earth Crouching Dragon again, and Okoye just punches him in the face and is like, "Come on now, that's not gonna work." And then the weakness of the Gao style is revealed, where it's like it's a coward's type of martial art in the sense where it's only good for surprise attacks.
Yes.
And with someone like Akuya, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah, and they talk about how the Earth Crouching Dragon that he's been using was most likely devised for if you had like a small blade in your hand. Yeah. You would bend down as if you were surrendering, and when they got close to you, you jumped up and stabbed them. So we find out the Gao style is basically a coward's fighting style.
And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been impressed with it ever since he started using it. I'm like,
it is a very unrefined version of the Nico style.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the bottom base. It's like the bottom base.
And then Ryuki, it looks like Ryuki is going for a third Earth Crouching Dragon, and Okoye is like, "Are you seriously doing it again? I was wrong about you." But instead of going down and up, he goes down, up, and then down, where he uses a technique called air rending.
Yeah, but it actually barely seems to phase Akuya.
His face was like,
kind of like the way the panel's shown. He basically kind of looks at him like, "Did you just hit me
in the face?"
Yeah, he kind of just looks annoyed.
Like, I'm your shit.
But he does. This is something interesting that I didn't realize. That's when Ryuki Gao's thinking in his head. He's like, he told me never to use anything but Earth Crouching Dragon in public. I'm assuming he means Bukaku Gao.
Yeah.
But he's like, I guess I really didn't have much of a choice here.
Yeah.
And he's like, plus, I guess I was using Armor Clad, which is the unrefined version of Indestructible that Only used.
Yeah, it's the Indestructible.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Pretty much. Yeah. And then we get to a point where Ryuki's like, "I'm not gonna be able to beat you just regular, so I'm gonna have to resort to killing you."
Yeah.
Akiya probably ain't got no problem with that because he's probably gonna try to do the same thing anyway.
During the end, because we're now getting to the end of this match, we actually see Gao use a move that is exactly the same from the Nico style, which cements that the Nico style is probably an evolution of the Gao style.
Yeah,
and that's Weeping Willow, which is involved with Nico style's redirection form.
Yeah,
but as one can imagine, because it's Seishu Akuya, it doesn't do anything. Akuya uses his shield arm to basically pin Ryuki down, which is something he's never done before. They actually specifically say this is a new strategy for
I felt like he used that against Cosmo, like when he did. That's what I felt he used.
He just mounted Cosmo and just started torturing him. That's all that he did to Cosmo.
Yeah, and basically they talk about how from this position,
you can get plowed.
You can get hit from any angle that you try to escape from, and so basically Akuya's got him in checkmate, and he just pummels Ryuki.
Oh yeah, he was up there on the caveman pummel. He was just doing all smash on his face.
And then you see Ryuki's eyes, and he's like, all right, I'm about to try to kill you. And then he's like, he goes for it, and then he goes for a Gao style technique that we don't know yet. And then he remembers what Koga said to him a few days ago, where he's like, do you know what you just did? You killed somebody. And so he stops just short of what he was about to do. And then Okoye just pummels him, and then the bodyguards show up and drag him off of Ryuki.
Yes.
He was getting worked.
Yeah. And so after that, Akuya is like, you actually could have escaped with whatever technique you were about to do. I think you could have escaped. Why didn't you do it? And Gao is like, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm glad I didn't have to kill you.
Yeah. And then Akuya makes this.
He's like, Akuya's like, I see. And then he walks back to
the face he made. We see these faces like Kano. This face was mad creepy. And all he says, I found one.
Yeah, basically he thinks that in Ryuki Gao, he has now found a
Robin.
Yeah, his Robin. To his
Batman. His twisted Batman complex. This justice that he speaks of. Yeah. And that's the creepiest face I've seen. When they showed it, I said, oh, dear Lord.
Yeah.
And he just looks at Hiyama like,
and so that next chapter shows Ryuki in the hospital. But before that, we see the two men from the
Koga's exam.
Yeah, from Koga's exam. And they both are noticing that something is off about the other. And that's when you see like the younger of the two, Toru. He's like, did you have business with me? And the older man says, oh, so you noticed.
And pulls out a knife.
And the dude has a garrote, like a wire.
Real quick.
Yeah. So Koga and Ryuki are talking in the hospital room, and they're asking about the Ryuki asks about the exam. He says it went fine. He's like, I won. And I believe this is when Koga starts questioning, why did you stop? You could have beat Akuya. Why didn't you? And
you gonna kill him? Did he probably think he was gonna kill him, or just like straight beat him?
Yeah, no, and like Ryuki flat out admits that he was fully intending on trying to kill Okoye, and he was like, but I remembered what you said to me when I was about to go for it, and he's like, I guess I have been killing people, and he's like, now it's like kind of bothering me that I have been killing people.
So he has a conscience.
Yeah.
So he's finally
he's finally starting to shape up into not just this like reactionary being. He's actually starting to develop a sense of morality that we didn't see.
And then
Koga. And a lot of that's from Koga.
And then we get two more representatives for the Kengan side.
Yes. Seishu Akuya and Ryuki Gao.
Which I kind of figured. So
and then you see Toru the younger of the men on the phone with G.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, my cover's been blown. And that's when you see...
dude, he massacred this man.
Yeah, the Sugawara basically had the top of his head cut off by the piano wire.
And then he's got his fingers chopped off. Like, he messed him up pretty good.
He's dead. And I believe they're talking about Koga.
Yep.
And basically saying that they can use him as bait to draw Ryuki into the tournament to basically
reveal if he's the Tiger's vessel.
Yeah, and the phone call ends with all for the connector, and that's how that chapter ends.
So next,
Ooh, this next part, oh man.
Woo! Yeah, we are getting towards where we want to end this episode.
God.
But this next chapter, somebody gets a call. Kazuo gets a call, and he's like, Koga is like, I'm about to tell you something, but please do not freak out. Jose and Hikaru fought, and Jose lost. And was to the point where he was put into a coma.
Yeah, so Jose got basically brutalized by the X-Fang of Metsudo.
He did not care.
And Koga's reaction kind of takes everyone by surprise because he's relatively calm about
it. Yeah.
Which is not something anyone expected. But at that point, Jun Sekibayashi and Haruo Kano pull out of representing Kengan in the tournament.
That was a low blow.
Yeah, that was a hard hit for Kazuo.
Yeah.
Kazuo.
That was
because having Sekibayashi in the tournament would have really gone a long way for them.
But now but then we learn too, and then basically he tells Koga, get revenge for us in the tournament.
Yes, and they talk about how actually that Yumi, the X-Fang, actually suffered a broken arm from Jose during that. So they're gonna want to. I believe they actually talk about how they pushed back the Purgatory tournament.
I don't think they pushed it back. I think they pushed.
No,
they just.
It was like his arm would heal just in time for the tournament.
Oh yeah,
they didn't push it back.
Excuse me. Yeah,
nah, Edomitsu ain't changing on that. So we learned something else too. Hiromo has more bad news about getting fighters. So you can't find my boy Hatsumi Sen. No. Hatsumi China somewhere. So he's no-go.
Yeah.
And then they tried to get Ray. Reno's not letting Ray fight no more.
Reno will not let Ray compete in the tournament.
That would have been too good. Oh my! They would have got either or. They would have got Ray or Hatsumi.
Yeah. So Kazuo is weighing his options. He's like, the Village of Dawn isn't letting people fight, but I bet I could get Saw Pang if I tried.
Yoshinari Kano hasn't fought.
I could get Yoshinari Kano if I tried. And he's like, oh man, what can I do? And then his phone rings, and he gets a call from Nitoku.
Yes.
And so he goes to. Well, before that, he's like, man, and on top of this, why did he I hope he can prove that he can have a spot in this tournament.
We already know who it was. That silhouette was Kuroki.
Yeah. And then you see Kaneda at the airport waiting for somebody, and he's like, oh, Kaede's not here with you? He's like, oh, that's kind of disrespectful. I thought we were friends. And the person he's talking to is like, oh, I was just kidding, bro. And you see that it is Ichiro.
Yeah,
it's Rihito. Yep, and he's starting his Kaiwan style beard.
No, and then we get to see. So we get to the next chapter where Nitoku was like, "Yeah, I'll fight." Pretty much, it came down to like Kaede said and Kazuo said, he ran out of money, so now he needs money, so he's gonna fight the tournament.
Yeah,
easy as that.
And we get back that that's a pretty short little couple of panels where Nitoku is basically like, "I'm out of money, I'll do it."
Yeah.
And
easy.
And then we see Rihito back in the office, basically getting grabby with Kaede, and she's like, yeah, no, get away.
He's like, give me a hug.
He's like, she's like, no. But Go ahead, man.
Oh, so
We left out a really funny moment where Ryuki is like reading
I thought that was
Hitoku's
the next part.
manuscript, and
He was
he's
so
like,
honest.
"Your
Yes.
story's terrible."
And
Talking
then,
about how shitty of a writer.
oh
Joker was.
shit! I forgot. I thought that was another chapter. That was this chapter.
He's
I
like,
said, all right,
"This
that's
is
enough. You're
awful."
done talking. And then he's just on there in the background, gloomy, like, damn, my writing trash. I forgot that happened. Oh, so we get to another point. We get to a fight.
Rihito demands to be put in a Kengan match immediately.
Be in a spot in the Purgatory tournament.
And in walks Kokoro, the face of the new generation,
the wolf
Kengan.
soldier.
And he's just like, sounds like things are getting interesting here. He's like, I want to declare my candidacy for the Purgatory tournament. And so he and Rihito kind of have some dialogue, and they talk about how I believe they actually say they want to fight each other. And
he says pretty much Kuroko has a match, and then Rihito has a match.
Yes.
But the opponent,
he's like, you don't mean him.
And they show England. Isn't he from
it's England?
They show England, and they show somebody else, and all we see is Elena.
Yeah.
And then we see Mokichi Robinson is about to fight Rihito and he's gonna be put, and actually he's a candidate too.
Yeah.
To be for the perk.
So basically what's happening, what's gonna happen here is Kokoro is gonna have a match, and Rihito is gonna have a match. And the winners,
shit, we're getting close to that part too.
And the winners of those matches are gonna be the representatives.
Pretty much.
Yep.
And so we get to Rihito versus Mokichi Robinson, and they're on this private beach that is owned by the Kengan Association.
Kengan got the dough.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say? Excuse me.
I said Kengan's got the money. They got their own private beach. I can fight where they want to fight at. They got dough.
Yeah. So they're talking about how Rihito has been training with Kuroki this entire time.
Yo, I want to talk. I want to take
not just yet. So they're it's to where they're like talking to each other, and like Rihito makes a pass at Elena, and Mokichi's like, "I see you have a death wish," and then like they take their stances, and then Kazuo notices Rihito's stance. He's like, his stance is a lot more orthodox now, like because where he would just be clawing at people with his razor's edge, he's just taking an actual like fighting stance.
Yeah, and we see that Rihito has got so much better. He's more powerful. He's faster. He's more technique oriented than just brute strength, which was his problem before.
Yep.
And this is when, when we cut.
This is when the goat shows up.
So we get to the chapter. I don't even care if he's not fighting, and I know he's not fighting this tournament, because if Kuroki Gensai was fighting in this tournament, that was an automatic win. I don't care what side who had on Purgatory. So we get to the part where he's in the middle of some Indian camp,
an Indian reservation.
He's at an Indian reservation. I like how the panel shows him. What's his boss's name? His friend's name again?
Takekaze.
Takekaze was like, Nogi has been bothering the hell out of me about this situation, but this purgatory tournament. And I love the panel of Kuroki chilling. The invitation was made, and all you see is Kuroki Pop just chilling there, like. And basically, he says, "You sure was good at Saint Ichiro?" And he like. Yeah, he's got Kuroki praised somebody. The only person he's praised so far we seen Oma, and then he praised Kano, but he definitely praised Oma. But he praised Ichiro, saying Ichiro has gotten a lot stronger. And this is a testament to how strong Kuroki is. Takekaze says, "But you really didn't teach him the Kaiwan style, did you?" He said, "No." And he said, "This is how dope Kuroki is. I could have trained him, Ichiro myself, to teach him the Kaiwan style, and he still would have never mastered it." That's
because he's like, Yeah, he's like, you can't learn these techniques overnight because like he's
Oh,
been practicing the Kaiwan style for at least 30 years uh at
yo,
that point. And he was like, so I taught Rihito the basics of the Kaiwan style.
that's
So
still
what
effective.
he's doing is a hybrid version of what he already knows and the foundation of the Kaiwan style.
More than enough.
Yeah. And so at this point, we see that really Rihito is the, he's leading this match, even against someone as powerful and as trained as Mokichi. And then Rihito goes for the razor's edge
And grabs the ear.
He grabs Mokichi by the ear,
but he knew what was up. I was like, if you move, bruh,
yeah,
your ear is coming straight clean off.
And Mokichi surrenders, and we now have Rihito as our representative. But Kaide calls Kazuo on the phone, and she's like, Kokoro lost! And she's like,
yeah.
Kokoro lost, I said.
Yeah, she calls Koga and she's like, Kokoro lost. Like he got like one shot at and he lost to a fighter that's not supposed to be here.
Kuroko's face, like you just see him sprawl out with his eyes just gone. And we get to the next chapter. This blew Tim's mind.
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah, and like Kokoro is talking with Koga. He's basically going through the I cannot believe I lost. That whole thing. And
but who he lost to was
yes,
the problem.
And this is where we see Kazuo and Kaide going to this giant mansion, and they're greeted by who else but Hayama from Toyota Electric Power.
Yo, the last person they need help from, but Kazuo's hands are tied. I didn't think they wanted to go to Hayama, but at this
Hayami, excuse me.
Hayami, yeah. I didn't think they wanted to go to him, but he already knew about the Purgatory Tournament, of course, and then
he basically says you don't have another choice. Hatsumi's not going to do it. Rei won't do it. Seki and Haruo backed out. He's like, you don't have a choice now. You have to ask me for help.
Yep. So he's like, I will join. I'll help you. I'll give you a representative, but you have to give me the seat. You have to give me a seat in the Kengan Association again.
And pretty much, Coyote was like, once you think about this, all right, we got you. Pretty much, Kazuo has no
he's backed into a corner.
He's backed into a corner. He has no choice to get help from his former enemy.
And then in walks the man we're talking about, and everyone freaks out
because he looks just like
him. He looks just like Masaki Meguro, the crying man who was killed by Muteba Gazinga in the Kengan Association.
But guess how he addresses it? It's the way he addresses him. This is my son.
Yes.
This is my son. Bro, what?
Hayami.
And he looks just like him.
Except, he doesn't have the tongue hanging out.
And
his eyes aren't bulging out.
And he doesn't have blood crying out.
Yep. Yes. He just looks like a normal dude.
But he's ripped like old boy.
Yeah.
He is huge. And this is who beat Kuroko. And I was like, oh, dang.
Yes. And so we cut to this next chapter because we're getting towards where we want to be here. Kazuo has a lock of Oma's hair. And he's thinking, like, if Masaki Hayami looks that much like the crying man, he's like, I wonder.
And he shows Oma and Ryuki together, side by side.
And he's like wondering, like, could something be going on here? Are they related? Are they some kind of clone, which is very sci-fi at this point? But he's like, what is going on? And Everett, can you elaborate on that for me a little bit? Because I think I kind of didn't really explain it very well.
So the sci-fi part or the rest of the chapter?
Just take the whole thing.
Okay, so he's just like, they're all but outright stating that Hayami Masaki is a clone of Meguro.
Okay.
And so he's trying to determine if Ryuki is an Oma clone. And so he is like thinking about getting a DNA sample and seeing if there's like a comparison between the two.
Yes.
And so, and then it cuts to Iwami Industries where Shikano Gen and one of my
This
favorite characters, Togo Tamari, are talking, and it's like, what are we going to do? It's like, you don't have Sekibashi, so you're useless to me. And it was like, he's like, I was gonna make Nogi Omi by giving him 2 fighters from our faction.
yes.
And she's like, if I can't, he's like, if we don't have any fighters, I'm gonna have to make some shake. And then she has a card, the same card that Muteba gave to her near the end of Kengan ASHURA, and was like, I'll do one job for you for free.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just mention the card and I'll come help you out. And so it
Perfect
cuts to
time to use it.
Muteba on a beach just surrounded by all these women, and he answered the phone. He's like, I'm on vacation. I'm not taking any jobs right now. And then it just shows like the phone screaming at him, and he's like, oh, it's Miss Tomari. He's like, okay, what can I do for you?
Yo, the perfect time to use the card.
Yes.
This is the more perfect opportune time to use that card.
Yes.
Perfect timing.
And
Yep.
then
And so
oh, go ahead.
Kazuo sends off Oma's hair to Oma and Ryuki's hair to get it analyzed. And so somebody walks up to the dude with the package and takes it from him. And then you see I taken the package, master, and Shaji steals
The
the
strand.
Oma sample, and he's like, I have to thank Kazuo for being so nosy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we actually see Kokoro and Koga like hanging out and sparring together, and like we get a lot of exposition here of them like becoming friends, and Kokoro showing respect. He's like, you've gotten so much stronger since we fought in the alleyway.
Wonder where that fight was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
And-
like, you're strong, and like you could actually enter the tournament if you just keep at it.
Yeah.
And they show Koga training from then on in like different panels of him training at different times a day.
So now Koga has upped his training once more. He's got he's still doing the training, like the things that he was taught by Sekibashi, but now he's doing Koreshi's gym. He's doing full contact karate with Uncle Joji. Now he's sparring with Kokoro. All of this every day.
No, he's doing 4. He's doing Kureishi's gym in the morning, Sekibashi's gym second, and then the karate third, and then training with Kuroko.
Yes,
Yep.
you're right.
He's training,
And then-
bruh.
Then he goes to see.
Jose.
He goes to a hospital, and then you see Jose is finally awake, and he's just relaxing in his hotel bed. He just has like a broken arm at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so after he, and they're basically kind of talking, and he's basically telling Koga, he's like, you've come so far. You've come so far. And he's basically saying he's proud of him without saying he's proud of him.
Yeah. And he has. Like I said, since chapter 1, I started reading this. When I first read it and I see him now, I'm starting to like Koga a little bit more now as the story progresses.
Yep. And then you see Kazuo talking to somebody, and he's like, "Oh, it's so rare for you to come and visit me." And you see that it's his oldest son. It's Kenzo.
Oh, Kenzo.
And he's like, I'm gonna cut to the chase, Dad. Did you do a DNA test on Oma?
Yes. And then this is where Kenzo reveals that he actually had briefly worked for the Worm.
And he explains who the Worm actually is. They've been
Yeah, and
around.
he like shows him a video of the Worm like stealing the hair package.
Yes.
And Kenzo's like, you might have done something really bad, Dad.
Yes.
Because the Worm is watching.
And this is where he gets talking, because if we remember correctly, Kenzo and Undermount Incorporated Neuroscience was their like flagship thing that they worked with. And Kenzo explains that he was helping the Worm with like cyber brain.
Yeah. So like basically putting like a human brain inside of like a machine.
Yes.
And I think this is where we get to where like pretty much this is why they kept this is well not yet. I forgot we're not there yet.
He talked about he talks about how one day he explains what the worm is, which is basically
a crime syndicate that's been around for eons.
It's essentially the Illuminati.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that, for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, they've been around since like anything crime, they're there.
And this is where Kenzo actually does admit that the worm actually terminated his contract without telling him why. And he goes to see someone that we did not think that Kenzo would have anything to do with. He goes to see Yo Bondo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And,
he actually says that at the end of ASHURA too. Like when he's talking to his like stand-in, his stand-in is like, "Are you serious about this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I want a meeting with Bando Yohei."
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that is when Bondo basically says that he had a sponsor with in the worm.
Yeah,
when he was doing his brain research before he turned into a serial killer.
Yes. And so what I'm going to just brief this because we're coming up on what's going to be the end of our episode today.
It's going to be the dopest part of this.
A lot of what we're doing is we're skimming over a lot of stuff for two reasons: time constraint, and because two, whoever's watching, we really want you to read this because us telling you about it is cool, but seeing this stuff has so much more impact.
Oh yeah, you get the feel. You'll feel what we're feeling when we read it.
Oh yeah.
I'm reading it when I'm reading the second time around. I'm getting hype all over again reading this, and I'm not caught up with Omega. It's dope reading it again because there's some certain stuff I forgot that happened. I remember a lot of stuff, but there's might be little stuff here and there that I was like, oh, that happened, or this person said this, or they fought who. I'm like, oh. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff, and it's good reading this over again. So
now let's take it to the end. Let's bring it home.
So pretty much,
Koga and Kazuo return home, and so when Kazuo was talking to Kenzo, they gave Shaji a code name, and so when they get in, Shaji is waiting for them inside of his house, and he's like, "You couldn't have picked a better name for me."
He was just chilling on the stairs, like he's been in a minute.
And again, to recap, Shaji is basically the leader of the worm that we know of so far.
Yeah, some small fry.
And he's basically waiting for them at home,
chilling.
Yeah, he's just waiting for them, and he basically is doing his typical villain speech. You messed up. No one can escape the connector. He's being very vague on purpose. And Koga basically tells Kazuo, he's like, stay behind me. And Koga just attacks Shoujo immediately. I'm going to call him Shoujo from here on out because Rashi is a mouthful for an American mouth. So Shoujo is what I will refer to him at first. And he does lay into Shoujo, but it's just he's still outmatched.
Yeah, it's more like Shaji just let him kick him.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's like, huh? He's surprisingly level-headed for like such for me to just be in front of him like that. So like he just kicked him for a distraction, and then they just left.
Yeah, and
so while they're running, Kazuo's trying to call Kaede and just to make sure that she's like safe.
And that's when Toru Nashio picks up the phone, and he's like, "I'm sorry, you can't call for help." And it's basically revealed that he is also a member of the worm.
He's a fake imposter. He was an imposter.
Yep, he's an imposter too.
And he just basically runs straight into Kazuo.
Yeah.
And at this point, Koga has kind of caught up at this point because Shoujo kind of just lets him go for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so Koga catches up to Kazuo and sees Nashio, and he's got 2 other goons with him, but I don't believe they're ever named.
They're just
Nope.
goons.
And
So they're attacking. They constantly try to attack Koga, and like you see Kashio reach into his pocket while he still has his knife out and he's trying to cut Koga, and then he throws something in the dark, and Koga is able to dodge it,
it's a
and
handful.
and he's like, "Whoa!" And then they name drop what Kazuo's eye ability is. It's the Kengan eye or the
The
fist
fist
eye.
eye. Yeah, the
Yeah.
fist eye.
And they kind of talk about that, about how he inherited it from Ichinoshin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of does briefly have a moment where he's like, "Does Koga have the same thing?"
Yeah.
Yeah, does Koga have the same ability? And it's at this point, Koga's trying to fend off Nashio, and he gets stabbed in the leg. And this whole time, basically, Koga's like telling Kazuo, "You need to get out of here. I'll hold him off." And,
Yeah.
Koga's holding his own
against construction worker goons.
Yeah, yeah, they look like 1960s Batman villains.
Construction worker goons.
Well, they more of them show up.
This is the chapter.
Yeah, more of them show up, and Koga's really holding his own against multiple people with weapons, and he's keeping Kazuo behind him, and he's defending Kazuo, and
he like tells Kazuo to just leave because he can't really focus on fighting if he has to worry about protecting Kazuo too.
Yeah.
And so he just tells Kazuo to fuck off so he can just focus on the fight. And like he does hold his own reasonably well against these armed people, but he still like occasionally will like get stabbed and everything. And then more people show up and he just gets overwhelmed.
And then we about to get to the finish up, guys.
This is the finish.
This is the dopest. And Everett, when you told me about this, and you said keep reading, it didn't seem like it was part of the chapter. And all we see is pretty much Kazuo's. There's no help coming for Kazuo.
Yeah. So he's like Kazuo is in a field now, and Shaji is like, "Thanks for coming out. You saved me the trouble of trying to look for you." And they're like, he's like, "Bring him in front of me." And he's like, "You're gonna die. You just have to." And Kazuo's just like, I gotta think. What can I do to get out of this? And he's like, no, like nobody's coming to save me. And the 2 people who are holding him just get their neck snapped, and then you see somebody just laughing.
No, it's the devil.
It's the devil.
Ryan got you way back.
They couldn't find him.
They couldn't find him. Yep. But then he says, it's the old Ryan fashion. These bitches. Like,
so these the bitches
we gotta kill.
Yeah. He's like, let's go ahead and just dominate them, right, partner? And then you see a color screen, color screen of somebody's back, and then Kazuo just like stares, breaks down into tears, and he's like, "You're supposed to be dead." And whoever it is like, "I'll explain everything later, Yamashita Kazuo." And then it's like, "So you want to fight too?" And it is Tokita home.
Yo, I didn't think this was real when you told me. I said, "There's no freaking way that this is real," and it's really because the way the picture had him in his back turned. This is not part of the chapter. Yo, is back.
Yeah, so somehow, some way, Oma's alive, and he's partnered with Ryan Kore,
which we will talk about on the next chapter.
Yeah. So before we end it, I want to give a really interesting tidbit about this chapter. So you see how the chapter is called The Witching Hour?
Yes.
Before this chapter came out in its volume, it was released without a title. And you want to know why that is? The Witching Hour in Japanese is Omagatoki.
No shit.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so when Oma tells Kazuo his name in the first chapter of Ashura, he's like, when he's like, "My name's Tokita Oma," he's like, "You mean like the witching hour?"
You're right. I can
Yeah,
say that. Yeah.
I didn't.
yeah. So it's a really nice callback to that, and I can understand why when it came out in the magazine, they didn't give it the chapter name because it would have revealed the
It would've-
bombshell.
Oh yeah, we gave the whole thing away.
But yeah, I thought it was so freaking cool. Like I got chills reading it when he's like, "So you want to fight too?" And we see that it's Oma Tokita, and I was like, "Oh shit, dude!"
With
Yeah.
Yeah.
all we know is these worm dudes ain't about to stand a chance. We ain't gonna talk about it now, but it's Oma and Ryan
'Cause
together.
I'm fairly certain we're almost going up on 2 hours.
We definitely are.
Yep.
So tune in next week, y'all. Like I said, we had covered a lot today. Next week, we will be getting into the meat and potatoes of this whole arc we've been leading up to. We're gonna get to the Purgatory Kengan tournament, but you will see the rest of the competitors. But I'm guessing you see in these last two chapters, this chapter, you probably can guess who the other two combatants are going to be.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be Oma and Ryan. What tournament wouldn't be right without Oma
Yeah.
and Ryan in it? Come on now.
Not gonna lie, before I knew that Oma comes back, I was like, God damn, they're not gonna put Koga in this tournament. There's no way they could do
Not
that.
to say he didn't improve. He's improved, but he's not ready for Purgatory.
Yeah.
He's
And
not
at
ready.
that point, he was just like so injured. Even if he recovered, he wouldn't have been at like 100%.
Not
Yeah.
close.
He would have been ready to fight Purgatory. So next week we'll be getting to the meat and potatoes of this, and we'll go see Ryan and Oma go ham.
Yeah.
Oh, so next week, tune in Sunday, y'all, 2 p.m. Thanks for tuning in. Whoever tuned in today, like, share, subscribe, comment to the Justin Anime podcast page on YouTube and my page on Facebook. Sorry,
Actually, I had an idea before we let it go. I had an idea. We're gonna take a little poll.
Ooh.
Ah,
Because I
Oh,
was thinking about this, and two characters are going to come off the top of my head. This is not Kengan related. This is something I was thinking about, but I want comments here. I want people to comment. And I want discussions. In your opinion, who are the most overpowered characters in all of anime?
oh, that's gonna be kind of
Because I got two people right off the top of my head.
like any anime, like that.
Any anime.
Oh, that's kind of hard.
Because
mm,
the two that come off the top of my head are Goku from Dragon Ball Z and Alucard from Hellsing.
I'm not gonna lie. So many people
Because
that's in anime.
Goku is comically overpowered.
yeah,
I know,
but
I'm-
like he's overpowered in the sense of his universe. It is like you get exposed to like these different series, and then you start going like, "Oh, Goku can't like hold a candle to any of these people."
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard one.
Yeah.
Because I see arguments
Yeah.
on Facebook all the time about
Yeah,
is
Anderson-
Goku stronger? Is Goku strong? Not even Anderson. I see it.
Anderson Stewart is so bad about this.
I'm like,
name dropping. I'm not hoping here.
Goku stronger than this? I'm like, no, I've seen some OP ass.
One time,
Yeah.
you argue with me that Goku could beat Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen.
Okay.
I'm not even into Watchmen, and he's not beating no.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's kind of get some discussion.
We-
going
we-
with that.
I'm
Who
gonna
do you
do-
think
I
is
think
more overpowered?
We'll have to get like a that ought to be a specific universe of certain characters. There's
Yeah.
too many anime characters. You
Yeah.
narrow that down. I watched a lot of anime and I've seen some crazy shit.
Yeah,
There's
true.
too many characters that I can even name on my fingers and
Yeah.
toes that have crazy shit. That will have to be. You know what? We can do a series.
workshop that.
We'll have to do a series. Who wants to see that, y'all? We'll pick some
Yeah.
specific characters.
I'd be down to do something like that.
Absolutely.
And we'll have some more people. Like we'll have another person on. We'll have to get like a specific character list from like certain,
Yeah.
anime, like maybe like a 5 or maybe like 10. 10's a good number.
Yeah,
10 characters from anime, and then we can like
Yeah.
get reasons why they're good. Have another person in here join us. That'd be dope. So if y'all want to see that top 10 overpowered characters, and we can have other people choose them for us, or we can put one of ours and then have some other people choose them. But we can do something like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, we will definitely do something like that. Tune in next week, y'all, for this.
Yes.
because we're getting to the tournament, and then you seen Oba is back, so it's gonna be more hype than it was this. And I wish we could have got to that chapter to this stuff then, but we will get to it next week, Sunday, 2 p.m. y'all, same time. A little late today. We will try to cover everything as much as we can, y'all. Sorry if we skipped over, more. It's so much stuff. It's so much stuff, and
well, now in like the later chapters, it'll be really easy to talk about
fights
because because it's just fights.
Just
Because
fight.
a lot of Omega is just world building.
Yeah. It did good. It started out real good,
Yeah.
like getting up to the tournament and building Koga's character up, and then everything that's happened between there, and then going to the tournament arc. Because Kengan, it kind of did that a little bit, but then it was like, all right, tournament.
Yeah, with ASHURA, it literally just starts out fighting. So like the two series are kind of flipped, where like ASHURA is like fighting and then a little bit of world building, and Omega is world building and then fights sprinkled in between it, just to like make sure you're still interested in paying attention to it.
It was good. They did good because this tournament arc. Oh, y'all thought we was hype on the regular King and ASHURA tournament. I can't wait. I'm sorry holding everybody up. Hey man, Tim, as always.
For sure, man.
Everett, it's always a pleasure, my brother. And we will be getting to the next part of these chapters next week, and we'll get to the nitty-gritty part of this. Like, share, subscribe, y'all. Peace, chicken grease, all that good stuff. Stay frosty. We'll catch y'all next Sunday.